All right, welcome into episode 10 of Save the Franchise. We got the whole crew back tonight. We're recording this on August 28th at 9:30 p.m. In less than 7 days, we will have football back, boys. I'm pretty happy for that. Can't wait for Eagles versus Cowboys, although the matchup just got a hell of a lot less exciting with the Parsons trade today. I'm sure we'll talk about that just a little bit later when we talk about our playoff teams, but that's what we're here to do. We're here to preview the NFL season. No better way to talk about that than the best teams or who we think are going to be the best teams in the NFL. How are we feeling tonight, boys? Tyler, you ready to go?
Yeah, Cowboys making me proud today. Let's go Cowboys.
How you feeling, Austin?
Dude, doing good. So good to be back. Excited to talk about this. We're digging into so much. It's good to debate. Can't wait for NFL season, baby. We're almost there.
All right, if everything goes to plan, we're going to talk about playoff predictions. We're going to talk about our Super Bowl matchup prediction, who we think is going to win, and then we're going to do a little bit of player awards, but we'll see how much we get through. The primary thing we really want to talk about is who are those playoff teams going to be, who's going to win their divisions, and really who's going to be in it at the end. So let's get into that. I'll start us rolling off, and we're going to talk about AFC Division Winners first, and just kind of in what order we think they're going to grab those seeds. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to grab the number 1 seed this year in the AFC. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to grab the 2 seed. The Ravens are going to grab the 3 seed. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to win their division for the 4th seed. So I've got the division winners repeating all except for the Jaguars taking the Houston Texans spot this year. Do you guys want to go through yours as well, or do you want to talk about mine? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, I mean, let's go ahead and give ours. Let's see
Okay.
how we compare against yours. Mine, I'm somewhat similar, but I definitely have a difference there at the end. So starting 1, 2, 3, pretty close. Same teams, a little bit of a switch. I got the number 1 seed going to the Ravens. I think the Ravens are going to be a really strong team this year. I got the Chiefs coming in at number 2. Always a good team. Maybe not as good as previous years, but still going to be up there. Going number 3 to the Bills, who I think are going to end up winning a lot of games in the AFC East. Probably going to sweep the Dolphins. Probably going to sweep the Jets. Probably going to pick up at least one against the Pats. And then just a pretty easy other regular season schedule. So they're going to be there at 3. And then I got the Texans winning the AFC South. I think CJ Stroud makes a bounce back. I think they have a good receiver room going, especially with some rookies. They got the Iowa State pair. I think they're going to play pretty well together. Joe Mixon starting the season kind of with some injuries. So he's not gonna be around for a little while, so it's definitely gonna hurt. But I think he's gonna come around. I think D'Amico Ryan's been doing a great job. The defense is gonna be solid. They still got Will Anderson. So I think the Texans end up just being a little bit above the Jaguars there, despite Trevor Lawrence playing pretty well and got some good rookies in the building too.
Okay, so yeah, we can get into the differences there in a minute, but Tyler, do you want to lay out yours and we can see where you land?
Yeah, mine is pretty similar to Austin. However, I actually do have the Ravens taking the number 1 seed, as
Yep.
I really think they have always been incredible in a regular season. They added a bunch of great defensive pieces. I think they're built to be an amazing regular season team. At the 2 seed, I have the Buffalo Bills. Part of that is due to their easy schedule. They get to just steamroll a lot of their like AFC East opponents. Other than the Patriots this year, Patriots might win a few. Good split, but even so, it's 2 automatic sweeps almost. At 3, I have the Kansas City Chiefs. I actually think their division is getting really difficult at this point. I even think the Raiders could take a game. I mean, they've done so in the past, and I think
Mhm.
this team has the QB that I wouldn't be surprised if they steal a game or so. And at 4th place, I do have the Texans, and I am not high on the Texans at all, but I just think their defense is a tier above everyone else in that division, and they're going to be like eking out those 1-score wins and probably end up with a better record than they probably should.
Okay. Yeah, so I think the only difference we have in terms of division winners is Texans versus Jaguars. You guys clearly disagree with me.
hmm
Although I do want to call you guys cowards for not picking at least one new division winner in the AFC. But here, let me lay out for the case for the Jaguars, because Austin's already kind of laid out some of what he thinks is going to happen with the Texans. Let me lay out the case of the Jaguars and a couple of the negatives for the Texans, and then you guys can tell me why I'm wrong. I think Jaguars get a massive makeover with Liam Cohen. You've got a couple new pieces along the interior of the offensive line. I think Travis Hunter immediately slots in and gives you something that Liam Cohen's going to be able to weaponize very well in the screen game, which is, I think, going to be critical to keeping the Jaguars on track for down and distance. Brian Thomas Jr. is I don't think a year of tape is going to let teams do anything about Brian Thomas Jr. I think they were already trying to do things about Brian Thomas Jr. and it kind of doesn't matter. I think he's already a top 8 sort of wide receiver in term, maybe not in terms of fantasy or production. That stuff might oscillate. I think top 8, top 5, he's going to be a top 8, top 5 receiver for the rest of his career. There's something just about 6'3" and 4'4" that you can't really game plan against, or it's 4'3", right? Like, he is, and he's reasonably fluid too. He can run routes to all 3 levels. The defense is the big question mark, obviously, and that's where the Texans have a massive advantage, is that defense gives them a lot of consistency. You can argue the Texans are going to have the best defense in football this year, but I think the Jags' offensive ability is just going to let them go toe-to-toe with a lot of the more, a lot of what's happening in the AFC right now. And when I look at the Texans, and I look at that offensive line, I think they got worse. Now, I've seen a lot of really smart people make the argument that it's not going to matter, because what was really the problem with the Texans last year was not just a lack of talent, but it was also like a very bad set of pass protection rules that was clearly exploited by smart defensive coordinators. But what if it's a new offensive coordinator? What if it's not better? What if the pass protection rules are just as bad? Like, Stroud could get killed back there, and if you don't have Mixon back there, you don't even have any essence of a run game. I mean, I just... And you're still dependent on rookie wide receivers, and I would rather go with the offense and the offensive scheme that I have high confidence in than what the Texans are currently trotting out there.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely, it's good points, especially from the offensive side on the Jaguars. Brian Thomas Jr. is pretty insane. I agree with you. You're not going to be able to game plan against him. Maybe double team him, if even that helps. I'm not really sure what else there is to do. The reason I chose the Texans is kind of like what Tyler said. I just don't think the Jaguars' defense is going to be enough to win enough games. I agree with you on the issues with the Texans' offense, but I feel like what the Texans have at offense is somewhat similar to what the Jaguars have, aside from the offensive line issues you mentioned. I mean, I think that I would rather have Stroud over Lawrence. Nico Collins, I don't know if you want to compare him to Brian Thomas Jr., but he can definitely be a solid wide receiver 1, and basically has been, especially when Diggs went down. And they're going to bring in Mixon eventually. Again, not going to have him for the first 4 games, but he's pretty solid. And the wide receiver core goes pretty deep. And then they even brought in, remind me his name at tight end. They got from he was the guy that came over from Dallas, I'm pretty sure, a while ago. Dalton Schultz.
Well, they had him last year.
They had him,
Yeah,
last year.
well, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But he was playing really well last year, and Stroud really relied on him. So I think the crux might be the offensive line issues you mentioned. If they fix it, I think the Texans definitely win the division. If they don't, they might lose enough games by way of that the Jaguars take it.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to say like definitively the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I know the No, it's not. It's nothing like that. I just, man, you're starting a rookie on the right side. Cam Robinson should not be a starting left tackle in the NFL. So I hate the tackle situation. I think you arguably got worse at both guard spots, and yeah, I don't know. I love Liam Cohen. I love the mind that he has, and I love what he's going to be able to do to create a much better offensive ecosystem for Trevor Lawrence. And I just don't view, I like Trevor Lawrence. Like, I don't view him that differently from CJ Stroud, to be honest.
That's where I disagree. I think
I feel like it's
Trevor
a tier
Lawrence,
difference.
I think Trevor Lawrence kind of limits Jacksonville's like offensive ceiling. I have a hard time believing Trevor Lawrence is going to do anything more than what Baker did, which, don't get me wrong, if he does what Baker did, they have a top-tier offense, like a top 10 offense. But I don't think he could do anything more, while I do think Stroud could go a tier above that.
I don't think we've seen we haven't seen Lawrence in a good situation yet. Like we've seen him in a terrible situation, and then we've seen him in a situation with guys who belong in the NFL. But I don't think we've seen him with a high level play caller. So I don't think we really know what his ceiling looks like. He has major accuracy issues, but I don't see any reason why with a much calmer scheme where he feels more comfortable with where the ball's going, that shouldn't be corrected, because you see the really high accuracy throws as well. It's just that every now and then he'll step back, he'll lean too far back, and he'll spray the ball. That's the problem. And if he's just more comfortable, I don't see any reason why that can't be a lot better.
Yeah. I mean, good points. One last thing I'll add before we move on from the AFC South is that having a new offensive coordinator and a new mind can be tough for a young quarterback. I mean, he's not super young, but just for anyone to learn a new system, there could be some ironing out that still needs to be had. It might not be year one success. So
yeah,
we'll see.
That's fair.
It'll be an exciting division to watch.
I think the other point we disagreed on, I had the Ravens in third. So you guys had Bills. So Austin had the Bills in third. Tyler had the Bills in second. And I had the Bills in first. The Bills' schedule is ridiculously easy. They're getting the NFC South, I think. And the Ravens are getting the NFC North. And maybe this is a little bit of a difference, and when we get to the NFC, we can talk about it. But I view the NFC North as potentially 4 playoff teams. I have 3 of them making the playoffs, and I don't think the Bears are that much on the outside looking in. I think that's going to be a gauntlet to deal with, and so I think the Ravens, just by virtue of schedule, I'm kind of demoting them to third. I think the Chiefs are going to be good enough to take second, like Austin and I both predicted. I just think with so much more time to throw for Mahomes, the team's better than it was last year. And so I think the only real argument to make is that they have to face the Eagles, Lions, and the Bills in this regular season. But I think they have to face. Do they have to face the Ravens? I don't think we're facing the AFC North this year.
I don't think so. I don't remember seeing the Chiefs up against the Ravens regular season.
Oh, we are still playing. Oh wait, no, we're not. Hold on. Yeah, we're not playing the Ravens.
Okay.
So yeah, we have to face the Lions, the Eagles, and the Bills. And yes, Kansas City takes it easier in the regular season, but you get Giants and Cowboys matchups that are easy. Much easier than the bottom of the NFC North matchups that the Ravens are going to get with the Bears and the Vikings, or the Packers, whoever you want to call the bottom team there. So
I just think even though Ravens do have a pretty tough schedule, I think they're just going to win. Honestly, and
that's kind of what I think about the Chiefs as well.
I just don't think the Ravens are good enough to say that. I think they're getting heavily overrated right now. Don't get me wrong, it's Chiefs, Ravens, Bills. They're the big 3. They're the guys you have to come after. There's a massive gap between them and any of the other teams in the AFC. But I just don't think they're hand wave away, mid-range NFL team games against them. I just don't view them that way.
I think that's where we disagree. I really see this being, and maybe this is just a fallacy of saying, oh, you could say this every year like Cowboys fans do. I feel like this is the season that the Ravens kind of take a step up. The offense and the defense have consistently gotten better. Coaching has been good. They just don't win those big playoff games, and I think they have enough experience. They're gonna start winning them at this point. And I disagree with that. We'll see when we get to our predictions. But I feel like the Bills have gotten worse enough that even though they're going to probably steamroll their schedule, I think that a few breakout teams can steal a couple games, knock them down to third. And I really don't see the Bills going that far in the playoffs. Maybe it's just my Patriots mind just clouding any ability to praise the Bills, but that's kind of what I think.
The Bills just got so much more. They figured out the formula last year, in my opinion. They moved to a more run-heavy scheme. I think that stabilized things out. It created a more consistent offense. Josh Allen didn't turn the ball over. I I think they figured it out. I think they figured out how to play regular season football in a good way. My only question with them is the secondary going to be an active problem and a serious issue to our teams can hang points on them. But I don't. Sean McDermott's just been such a good structure, always been so good with the defensive structure that I have a hard time seeing it be that bad. And yeah, the NFC matchups, it sells it for me. Like that's just so many easy cakewalks to go through.
We'll see. We'll see.
Any last thoughts, guys, or should we talk about the wild card teams?
I think we're ready to move on.
All right. I had the Broncos in the 5th seed, the Texans in the 6th seed, so I didn't leave them out of the playoffs. And then I had the Patriots slipping in the 7th seed. So a couple notables, I left out the Chargers and the Bengals. Tyler, you want to give your 3?
Yeah. I went Broncos with the 5th seed. You're not going to like this one, but Bengals with the 6th seed and Chargers with the 7th seed.
Ooh.
Okay.
Come on, leaving those Pats out. What are we doing?
Too early.
I also,
Next year.
I also have the Broncos in the 5th seed. I've recently moved out to Boulder, Colorado. I'm feeling that Denver pride a little bit. They're excited out here. Bo Nix's pretty good. I agree with that. I think they're going to have a good team. Probably one of the best defenses in the NFL as well. Right behind them, I do have the Patriots. I think they're going to have really good offense. I think they're going to have really good defense. We've done a whole episode on it. I think the Patriots get in there at 6. And at 7, I have them finally maybe figuring it out, staying healthy with the Bengals. I think they're going to have just another incredible season offensively. I think hopefully they solve some issues on defense. We'll see. There's definitely some, first teams out that I will definitely listen to arguments for switching them out. I could definitely see the Bengals just losing a few too many games because of the defense. But that's where I have it right now.
All right.
Who are kind of your teams that were close? Unless you want to go ahead and debate our first 3.
No, I mean, I think the Bengals and the Chargers are absolutely my next teams in, right? I think probably Chargers over Bengals. You guys need to make the case to me why the Bengals, who also have to, just like the Ravens, they have to face the AFC North as well, or the NFC North. I don't know why I keep switching these. They have to face the NFC North as well. You guys got to make the case to me as to why the Bengals, who were already really freaking good on offense last year, and sucked on defense last year. You got to make the case to me as to why any of that's going to change and it's going to result in a playoff berth.
All right. Tyler, you want to take it or you want me to take it?
Well, I could just go off first and just say their offense, I think it's going to be historic this year.
You think it's going to be better than last year?
Yes. T. Higgins missed a lot of games last year. It took them a
And
little
he's
bit
probably
going
to miss a lot of games this year, too.
I know, but okay,
No, don't you wish that on me.
But, okay. No, I think right now the Burrow-Chase connection has reached a point where it's becoming one of the greatest in NFL history. Even I think we can say that at this point. And it's something that's unstoppable. Similar to your Jacksonville argument, when you have a great offense like that and everything clicks, I know they don't have the scheming that Jacksonville were assuming they will have, but I don't really think the Bengals need scheming. Their scheme of, we have 2 amazing receivers and our QB is going to throw perfect balls at them. It works. It's worked for years, and I think it's enough that they're going to be competitive in all the games, even against the great NFC North teams. And I don't know. I think last year they lost a lot of one-score games. All it takes on a lot of one-score games is that coin flip. So.
And how do you feel about Chase Brown getting loaded up with another 300-plus touch season at his size? Because if he goes down, there's nothing in that running back room. And that whole element that allowed that offense to be hyper efficient as well as explosive last year goes away, in my opinion.
I mean, to touch on that, I feel like they're going to solve that problem with, just like Tyler said, I think T. Higgins hopefully stays healthy. I think it's going to be back to pass game first. Chase Brown under the bottom once you start trying to cover Jamar Chase and T. Higgins flashing down the field. So again, I agree with Tyler. It's basically going to be the offense is going to be so prolific that they just win more games. Again, if they don't fix anything on defense, it's just going to be the same, and they're just going to be another team with a great offense and miss the playoffs.
Yep.
But if they can fix a couple of things on defense, at least have a better scheme, slow down the game a little bit, I think the offense is going to be even better. I think Chase Brown's going to have a really good season. Yeah.
So wait, are
I
you
think
guys trying to tell me that you're actually betting on the idea that the defense will be better with the departure of Lou Anarumo?
No, the defense
I'm
is going
not-
to be
no.
atrocious.
So you think
it's
the
still gonna be
defense
bad.
is going to be worse than last
No.
year,
I think
and
it'll
they're
be
going to
about the
make the
same.
playoffs?
I think it's going to be about the same.
Yeah.
I don't buy it, but we can
I think
move on.
No, okay, but I do agree with your point about Chase Brown, though. If he goes down, yeah, that offense.
There's
they're
just
not
no
making the
way they
playoffs.
can be
They're not making the
efficient
playoffs.
enough on a down basis. You're going to be so stuck on the passing game that teams are going to get a tee off against you, and they can forget about the run.
Yeah, they don't have good depth at running back whatsoever. Maybe they can make a trade deadline move, but if Chase Brown goes down, yeah, that is a major blow.
I mean, one important thing is they did keep Trey Hendrickson on defense. I mean, if they lost him, they would have had to have gone and done something. They would have had to trade
that's
Chase
just,
Brown for someone. I don't know, but
just
but if
maintaining the status
it-
quo.
Yeah, exactly. And he's one player, so we'll see. I think they get in at 7. My next ins are the Chargers, and then I throw in the Steelers. It's either I think it's boom or bust for them. Well, maybe not boom or bust because they might just end up right where they always are, like we talked about before. But Aaron Rodgers is either going to really improve the team or not improve the team at all. So maybe they sneak in as a playoff team. Maybe the Bengals lose a whole bunch of games, and the Steelers win more in that division than the Bengals are able to. But I feel like that's unlikely. I'm really sticking with the Chargers the next in if it's not the Bengals. I think they'll have a pretty decent season.
I believe in Rodgers' ability to tank the Steelers and give
Oh,
them
yeah,
a
yeah.
negative
I thought
total
you were
for the
putting a
first
period
time.
after ability. I was like, I have no confidence in his ability. I think he's made a string cheese at this point. So. String cheese and mushrooms.
No,
Please go back to a cave.
So we all
Some
have Denver
water.
at 5. I think the case is pretty self-explanatory there with the dominant defense, and then presumably, I will say there's some worrying stuff there with they didn't beat good teams last year. Like the teams they beat to slip into the playoffs last year were pretty crappy and had a pretty terrible collection of quarterbacks. However, I think the defense is going to level up to be a superpower this year. So we don't really need to delve into that because we agree there. But I don't know. Sorry, did you have the Chargers slipping in, Tyler?
I did, yes.
So did you have that, Austin? Or you're
No,
saying
I have
they're
them
one
first team out.
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we were basically flipping. That's the other thing we disagreed on was the Chargers and Patriots, us versus you, Tyler.
Yeah.
I'm picking the Patriots just because, once again, that schedule is ridiculous. That schedule is even easier than the one the Bills have.
Yeah, we have like the second easiest behind the 49ers, I'm pretty sure.
And when I look at it, it's just, I think Vrabel is probably the 4th best coach in the league for specifically in the regular season going against cupcake opponents. I think it's Dan Campbell. I think it's the Harbaughs. And then I think it's Mike Vrabel are the coaches I want for beating down cupcake teams. And so I think that combined with the investment on the defense that should be really good with that, especially with that cornerback duo that I just love, and it's going to allow them to really hinder passing games of opposing teams' offenses, paired with what I see as a massive jump from May, and some pretty exciting skill position players. I just think, I don't know that I would have thought that I would have the Patriots in before I did the exercise, but when I look at it, I have problems, and I guess I'll talk a little bit of the negatives of the Chargers. Is when I compare them to the Chargers, it's the Chargers have just a couple things that I'm really worried about if I'm facing them, and then the rest is kind of like you just have a reasonably good scheme lined up with good details, and so I'm just not really that worried about facing them, and I think the Patriots just are a lot more threatening in several facets of the game. So yeah, I don't know. I love Herbert, but losing one of his tackles sucks. The interior was already going to be bad in my opinion, just like last year. And then I mean, if you told me right now Trey Harris was going to be a stud number 2 wide receiver, I think I'd be on board with the Chargers over the Patriots. But I don't know that I feel that way. So yeah.
Quick note on the Chargers. Keenan Allen's performance when he used to be on the Chargers, Keenan Allen's performance on the Bears. Where do you think Keenan Allen plays this year? You think he makes any sort of boost to the Chargers, or do you think he's just going to kind of be a role player at this point in his career?
The problem is if Keenan Allen's like your legit second or third wide receiver, he has to play in the slot at this point. He used to have inside outside versatility. He was just best in the slot. Now he has to play in the slot. And so when you go out there in 11 personnel, you can't put McConkey in the slot if Keenan Allen's your 2-3 wide receiver. So even if Keenan Allen's reasonably productive, which he probably will be, because even like old Travis Kelce, he can find the zone holes. Like, you're now limiting McConkey to the outside, which I think he can play perfectly well, but not giving him the versatility doesn't allow you to go matchup hunting for explosive plays, and I think that's extremely limiting.
Interesting.
So,
okay, good take.
I also just like Josh McDaniel more than Greg Roman. I think the offensive scheme's way better. But yeah, Tyler, do you want to get in?
I just think the Chargers' running attack is going to be something really good. I think it's going to be both running backs. I don't think it's going to be a pure Hampton takeover. I think Hampton's going to obviously be the better back, but I think Najee Harris is going to have a resurgence at some point. He's going to look like a solid running back. And I just think their defense was last year, by all advanced analytics, it was really good. I know they overperformed their talent, but I still think it's going to be a solid unit. And I still trust their coaching. They're a Harbaugh coach team. It's going to be run heavy, play defense, and I think honestly, I think the Patriots just aren't ready yet. I know they play easy teams, but I think May is going to still make some young QB mistakes. I think there's going to be some games where he loses for them, and I know they should be. I think they're going to lose games that they should be winning. Like, you look at their schedule, you say 11, 12 wins, honestly, based on the teams they play, but I think in reality it's probably going to be closer to 8 to 9.
That's fair.
No, that's fair.
I think
new coach, new OC, second year QB, like either new running back or running back that is having fumbling issues last year. Pretty much the wide receiver room is half new or half second years. So that's a great point that on paper the Patriots should win like 12 games, but with all those things considered, you might just lose some of those ones, especially if they're close. So.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think the gap between how we're seeing May really explains it. But yeah, they're definitely set up well. So let's move over to the NFC.
Floor and ceiling for sure. Yeah.
No, a little bit more potential for turnover here, I think, in the NFC. So division winners, I have the Eagles taking the 1 seed, the Lions taking the 2 seed, the Niners taking the 3 seed, and the Falcons taking the 4 seed there. Austin, you want to walk us through your 4, and then Tyler, you want to put yours out there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I got the Eagles taking the 1 seed again. I just think that their division got worse. They're probably on paper the best team in football. Amazing offense, amazing defense. It's their conference to lose right now, I think, for the Eagles. 2, Lions getting healthier again, making another strong run. And then I have 3, the Falcons, making kind of like I have winning the division.
Okay.
I have making big steps. The offensive line and the defense have been building up. It's really going to come down to, is Penix NFL ready? And then I have 4, the Rams, and kind of and the Falcons and the Rams I can see being flipped. I can also see the Rams and the 49ers being flipped. I'll be honest, I had a lot more trouble with the NFC than I did with the AFC.
That's fair.
Those are the picks I'm the least confident in, but that's kind of where I have it right now, going Falcons, Rams there to close out the top 4.
All right, Tyler.
Yeah, so mine is pretty different, I would say, or somewhat. We'll see. So number 1, I have the Eagles. As an Eagles fan, the roster's still talented, but Super Bowl hangovers do exist. But I still think they're a tier above all the other NFC teams. And number 2, I have the Niners. I think they're due for a resurgence. They still have Kyle Shanahan, and I think he's gonna prove what he's done in the past and who he still is. And I think their offense is going to have some sort of resurgence, especially with CMC this year. Number 3, here is my hot take. I think the Packers now.
Hmm.
This is not just because of a Micah Parsons addition, but I do think that addition completely changes the dynamic of that defense. Because that defense had a bunch of uh, good players plus starters, but they were really lacking that star power, and I think Micah Parsons fits into that perfectly. Now they have a premier pass rusher. The, there's still some concerns in their secondary, obviously, but I think their defense has a chance to be something special. And they still have a great coach. I'm really giving coaches a lot of credit in the NFC right now.
That's fair.
In this ranking.
I think it makes a lot more. I think it makes more difference in the NFC than the AFC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you don't have those superstar QBs.
Yeah.
Like as many, but and then 4, I do have the Falcons also winning the NFC South. I do think the Bucks are going to regress after Liam Cohen's gone, and I think
Okay.
Michael Penix he looked very NFL ready in his few starts. I think they're going to be a pretty solid team this year overall.
Okay. That's interesting. So let me just hit on the Bucks Falcons thing real quick because we agree about that, so we can move on after this. But real quick, do you guys even have the Bucks making the playoffs?
No,
I don't. I
Okay.
have one of my first teams out.
So my Falcons pick, I feel like I'm going to start arguing against myself here a little bit, but my Falcons pick was way more predicated on the Bucks collapsing. I feel like my playoff predictions are a little bit of a love note to Liam Cohen. No, I think my predictions were more about the Bucks like entirely falling off and having serious issues on both sides of the ball, compared to actually liking the Falcons, because I don't think Penix is that pro ready. Really, like he sprayed
Really?
balls a ton, and I think he had some fantastic throws last year that did not go where they were supposed to go.
he did that in college though too, for 5 years.
Yeah, but in the NFL, those balls get picked off typically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I go back and forth, but obviously one of them has to make the playoffs. I think it's just one or the other for sure. But anyways, we can talk about. I guess our other biggest difference is what we think is going to happen in the NFC North. I mean, so you didn't even just have the NFC North team flipped, Tyler, but you had them in the third spot as well. I think that's overdoing it. The Lions won 15 games last year, and they were injured as all hell in the back end of the season. I think the coordinator change is a big thing to consider. But they're so talented across the board. I mean,
He said the same thing about the Eagles 2 years ago.
Okay,
They won 14 games the year before. Lost both coordinators.
Who would you rather have hiring your coordinators, though? Sirianni or Campbell?
True.
Besides,
still.
Campbell's had these guys, both of them tapped to be the coordinator for like 3 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a difference, but I would also argue that Steichen and Gannon are not on the same tier as Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I don't think that's even debatable. I think you
fair.
are still losing a lot, and it's really hard for me to justify because, yeah, the division is really tough. And actually, other than the Bears, I would not be surprised if any other team wins it. I know we're going to talk about it a little bit earlier of our Vikings pick. But
they're too talented, man. And besides, part of the reason the Eagles collapsed is the locker room went to shambles, and like, I think do you disagree with that? Like, I feel like the chemistry
Part of
fell
it.
off a cliff in addition to the scheme.
it was really the defensive scheme that really completely collapsed. The offense was actually, I think, ranked 6th in DVOA that season, which is pretty crazy because, I mean, they still made the playoffs that year. I know it's like a collapse, but the Eagles' offense was still an efficient unit. It was just the defense just went from debatably the best in the NFL the year prior, I think 70-something sacks, 72 sacks, to being a joke. The Lions' defense last year was overperforming, losing Glenn now. I think we could see something there. If Hutch doesn't come back 100%.
I think Campbell is the floor proof I need to avoid the Sirianni 2023 Eagles situation. And they're just so especially on offense across the board. I think you could make the argument with the advent of Tesla that the offensive scheme around the offensive setup around Goff is better than Hurts. right
That's
now.
a bold take. That's a
I,
bold take.
I AJ Brown is better
I'm
than
not
Amon.
saying you're straight up wrong.
AJ Brown is better
And
than Amon St. Brown, and Devontae Smith is better than Jamison Williams. But Tesla is a way better third than anyone you have on the Eagles. I think Laporte is better than Goddard at this point. I think the offensive lines are different. I think the Lions are better in run blocking, and I think the Eagles are better in pass protection.
Yep.
But I think the Lions running back setup is more proofed for the regular season, right? With you've got a two-headed monster in the backfield. And so I just think across the board and the optionality that gives you and the difference in terms of being able to attack, and I think they can play 12 personnel in a way better way than the Eagles can. I think that optionality and the ability to adapt to against various teams is just way too much more beneficial than what the Eagles have right now for regular season football.
That's fair. Yeah, I would say the Eagles definitely have more firepower. I mean, I would rather have Saquon Barkley than pretty much anyone in the NFL. And like you said, like as good as Amon-Ra St. Brown is, AJ Brown is just bigger and better. And I would maybe rather have Hurts over Goff as well. But it's the options that the Lions have that I agree with you. And they do have the better run blocking, and they're still very sufficient in pass blocking. So I take your point on the Lions. I mean, I'm high on the Lions too.
That being said, I still have the Eagles
Yeah.
nailing the 1 seed, and I would
Yeah.
be pretty surprised if it doesn't end that way. I'm just
And
saying
where did you
I
have
think
the
the
Lions?
Lions are that strong right now.
I just think their defense has a lot of concerns. But
But you've got playmakers on every level. I think I like Terrion Arnold. I really love Brian Branch, and I really love Aiden Hutchinson as massive X Factor playmakers. I mean,
counter argument, Terry and Arnold wasn't that good his rookie season. Hutch leg literally split in half. And I guess their linebacking room is good, but good, not great.
I think Hutchinson's going to come back and tear it up. I mean, that might allude to one of my picks later, but I think Hutch's leg is going to be fine. I mean, it's the
It's
NFL.
possible, yeah.
Like they have the science. I mean, rarely do we see people really come back and have issues. I feel like we talk about it all the time. Like people are always talking about like people coming back from ACL injuries. Like I feel like ACL is a bad example because that's one where you're definitely more likely to pop it again. But we don't really see a lot of repeat issues in the NFL, I feel like. And that's a bold statement to say none, but like I can't think of any off the top of my head as of very late.
yeah, well, and here's the thing: Lions versus Packers specifically. I mean, how much better do you think Jordan Love is than Jared Goff? Because I'm not sure that I really want Jordan Love over Jared Goff for the regular season.
It's
'Cause
variable.
Love does
Yeah.
that.
If Love plays if he stays more like on a higher level and doesn't have the massive dips, I would take the Packers easily. But if we're getting complete fluctuation, I think it's a coin flip. And if we're getting bad Love, like we were getting a little bit during that stretch last season, I don't think the Lions would destroy the Packers by like 40 in a head-to-head matchup.
Yeah, I mean, he was beat up last year,
We talked
so I
about
don't
this
want
last
to.
week,
I don't
too.
want to.
But like,
yeah.
the team depends on Jordan Love. It really does. The Packers. I even with the Micah Parsons, it's Jordan Love's team. If he plays like a top 10 QB, Packers are going to be an amazing team this year. If he does not, that Packers might miss the playoffs.
I don't know.
I agree.
I just think that Goff just allows you to manage games, and Love gives you higher potential and probably better for a heater of a playoff run to go try to win the Super Bowl. It's just that like he can't play in a way where he's just managing the game. He has to be the playmaker, and I'm not across a regular season. I'm not gambling on that. I'd rather have Goff, in my opinion. So when I look at the surroundings just being better, in my opinion, by far for the Lions, and then the quarterback's a little bit better too. Even I have a really hard time choosing the Packers.
However,
when it
Packers have a much better offensive scheme.
I don't know that it's that much better though. I really love LaFleur, but the Lions. I'm not gonna get on the train yet that the Lions didn't figure out the OC hire.
Even if they did, expecting him to be LaFleur year one.
I'm not saying he's gonna be LaFleur. I'm just saying that the gap's not gonna be like. I think when the gap's that. Besides, the scheme's not that hard to figure out when you have the Lions personnel. Like you don't need to do that much.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. So, We'll see. I feel like it definitely is going to come down to love. No one likes bad love, especially not the Packers fans. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be. I mean, that was by far the most exciting, interesting firepower league or division of the season last year, and it's going to repeat for sure. The Packers have only gotten better. The Lions have only gotten healthier. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be exciting. What I'm super interested in is the NFC West because we were
Yep.
pretty all over the board there as well.
Well, Tyler
So
and I had the Niners, but he thinks the
yeah.
Niners are even going to be better than I think they're going to be.
Yep.
But you think?
And I got the Rams. So I it sounds like I'm starting. So I got the Rams.
let me put this out here, and then you can go. Okay, just
Okay.
one little bit. I don't even have the Rams making the playoffs.
Actually, same.
No. And that's okay. That's okay. I was going back and forth. I either had the Rams winning and the 49ers making one of the last wild cards, or I had the 49ers winning it and the Rams not making the playoffs. So
Okay.
I I don't know. I think it's gonna be one of those years where the teams are going to be pretty good, but I just don't see them having a lot of depth. And I don't see the defenses being as good as they need to be, especially when we look at some of these like conference championship and Super Bowl teams we've seen out of the NFC West with the Rams and 49ers specifically. I think this year that Stafford is going to continue to be good. I think Kyron Williams is going to take another step up. He's a very good back, and they use him really well. I think that I feel like people are not giving Devonte Adams enough praise. I know there was some chat in our fantasy league, I think specifically from you of doubting Devonte Adams. I think that he's a great pickup by the Rams. He has always been a good receiver. He has the size, he has the speed, he can run routes pretty much at every level still, and I think Stafford's the right guy to throw to him. And they have a guy named Puka Nakua, and Puka Nakua is going to be probably a top five, if not top 10 wide receiver this year. We saw it last year. It's not going to be any different. And they run a pretty good defensive scheme. I mean, the Rams definitely have had some of the best draft classes of the last like 2 to 3 years. So that's what I have. I think the 49ers are going to be good. They're going to have Christian McCaffrey back. I think Kittle's still playing at a pretty high level. But even though they keep Ayuk in the building, I don't know. I've never been super high on him. I think he can definitely be a wide receiver one, but I don't know if he can be the best wide receiver one in the NFL. Juwan Jennings also playing pretty well, and the defense is all right. I just see the Rams winning some more games. I see the Rams at least splitting, if not sweeping, the 49ers. And just looking at both schedules, I got the Rams winning a few more games. I have the 49ers making it in the playoffs. They're going to be a good team. I just got the Rams over them.
So my biggest problem with the Rams is that you have a 37-year-old quarterback with a back problem. And an
But I
offensive
don't think he shows
line
it.
that has similar health issues and isn't that good in the first place. I'm
The
not,
offensive line is not the strongest. That's for sure.
and I'm
If
just,
the Rams' offensive line was better, they would be a really good NFC team.
I'm just not ready for the 37-year-old quarterback with a back problem to go out there and take that many hits this season, and I don't see how he's not going to take that many hits. It does look like Alaire Jackson's at least going to start the season healthy, and he is going to come back from that injury. But it sounds like they literally have a RV at Rams practice that is Matt Stafford's back readjustment camper. Like,
Yeah. Man, you follow Matt Stafford's back a lot more closely than I do.
I don't know how to reconcile that and that offensive line with a playoff team, because if you go down Jimmy Garoppolo starting, and so I think both outside of the quarterback, I think both the Rams and the Niners have eminently exploitable secondaries. And I think they're going to end up having good fronts. I really like Mykel Williams. So I think they've got very similar defensive issues. I just think that the 49ers are more set up to just have a bounce back season and just be more stable, even if it's not great throughout the season, than the Rams. I think you could have a lot of oscillation from Stafford.
And that's a good point, for sure. I mean, if they can't keep Stafford clean, I mean, if you can't keep your QB clean, you're not winning games, especially in the NFC West. So, I I think they'll put up enough points that it will be sufficient. I don't think they might win a playoff game, but I'm not even confident in them winning a playoff game. I just think they end up winning that division.
That's fair. Tyler, you wanna add anything to that or?
Yeah, it's just for me, it's more about the fact that it's pretty similar to what you say about the Rams front. I really don't have faith in Stafford this year. I mean, if you remember in the offseason, it seemed like he was going to retire at one point, and then it seemed like he was going to be a Giant. Then it seems like he was going to retire again, and then all of a sudden he came back to the Rams. It seemed like his career was getting pretty close to being over, and I have a hard time believing he's just going to go out there and have a resurgence because we really haven't seen him play like at an elite level in a couple of years now at this point. He's
Yeah,
shown
I just
flashes,
bursts here and there. Games.
but he hasn't
Yeah.
consistently done it over an entire season. And I think the Niners, I'm going to really talk more positively on them. Similar, I think their run defense is massively improved. That's where teams were targeting them last year. Teams were just thrashing them. Every single pick they did in the draft was to address that. And I'm really assuming at least one of them will stick. Michael Williams will definitely help with that.
I love Michael Williams.
And I think Fred Warner obviously still he is a one of one at his position.
Well, and he was not 100% last season. He was
wasn't.
playing with a broken
true.
foot.
Same thing with Trent Williams too. I know he's older now, and banking on him to be fully healthy for an entire season is crazy. But those guys are both one of one players. Like when they are healthy and at full strength, good luck. Like they're superstars.
Yeah.
And I just think the Niners have that, and a little bit where I don't think the Rams actually still do. Surprisingly, Jared Verse is great, and I think he could be that in the future, but
He's not Nick Bosa.
Yeah, he's not Nick Bosa. Like he could be, I think, at some point in his career, but he's just not it yet.
Yeah.
All right,
that's fair. Like I said, that's the division I had the most trouble with. So I'm excited to watch it.
All right, let's roll to the wild card teams. I had the Packers coming in at 5, so I do really like the Packers, Tyler, especially with the Parsons edition. But I had the Packers coming in at 5, Commanders at 6, and then I have the Vikings with J.J. McCarthy slipping in at 7. Tyler, what do you have?
Yeah, pretty much the same as you, but the Lions at 5, Commanders at 6, and Vikings at 7.
Okay.
So.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then I basically have the Rams knocking out the Vikings. So I have Washington, the Packers, and the Niners.
Okay. Yeah, I think Washington. Yeah, so I think the only place we really disagree with is the Vikings. What do you see as the downsides to the Vikings, Austin?
Honestly, it's J.J. McCarthy. I was never that high on him when he was at Michigan. I mean, he played fine in like the type of college system that favors that type of quarterback. But although he has pretty good short range accuracy, I don't really see J.J. McCarthy's style of play translating in the NFL. I mean, we've seen like I kind of almost see him like almost like a less athletic Colin Klein from Kansas State, like kind of like a really good role player, can get the ball where it needs to be, has like a lot of talent around him and a pretty solid run game. But like he's not really throwing the ball downfield like you really need, and that's kind of where the Vikings can succeed with guys like Jefferson and Addison. Not to mention that Addison's got a 3-game suspension to start the season. So I don't think they're going to be a bad team. I think they'll probably have a winning record, but they're in the toughest division in football, arguably. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games there. And I just think J.J. McCarthy's going to struggle a little bit. He's basically a rookie quarterback with an injury. The two like biggest things that are the hardest to succeed in is being a rookie and coming back from an injury. So maybe he completely shuts me up and lights it up and gets comeback player of the year. And I guess he's eligible for that. And it wins MVP and Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL. It could happen. It's the NFL. Who knows? But that's really kind of what I view. I'm still just kind of a McCarthy hater. And so I just don't see him winning enough games in that good division.
So, yeah, and obviously McCarthy's the big question mark on the Vikings. I mean, none of us are going to disagree on that. When I bet on the Vikings to make the playoffs, I view it as a bet on Kevin O'Connell to manage J.J. McCarthy. and I'm very comfortable with that bet. And I think all the reports coming out is that mentally JJ is great. He's done a really good job absorbing the playbook, and so when I hear those things, that to me is saying, one, Kevin O'Connell's been doing a good job so far teaching JJ McCarthy. So what I expect to come to pass there is true. And then two, if JJ's got a good mental grasp of what's going on and what should be happening on the field and all that, his communication and his ability to understand and take O'Connell's advice and critiques and coaching throughout the season as it goes, I think is going to be good. And so I think there will be growth throughout the season. I think outside of it, the Vikings have arguably the best supporting cast for a quarterback in the entirety of the NFL. I think you've got one of the top two. They're probably just behind the Eagles in terms of pass blocking on the offensive line, assuming that the left tackle is good to go, which by all accounts he is. And then you've got, I think, more QB comfortable targets in Jay Jettas and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson than the Eagles, right? You just don't have the run game that the Eagles have. But I think I think the types of throws that you have access to in the Vikings scheme is gonna make it so much easier. And I think they're only gonna be asking him to make a few true high leverage, difficult throws a game. And I'm not saying he's gonna make all those. There's a reason I have them in the 7th seed, but I think he's gonna make enough that it's, this is gonna be fine. And I obviously love Flores' defense. So Tyler.
Yeah, I'm also gonna defend McCarthy a little bit here. Every single coach who has ever worked with him has talked about how smart he is. He's not a rookie. This is his 2nd year. He's been in the league for a year, and I guarantee you, Kevin O'Connell was giving him millions of hours of tape to watch during that time, prepping him on what to do, simulating games, and doing stuff like that just to prepare. I really don't view him as a rookie. And yeah, I kind of agree with Keegan. That offense is made to be simple. He's had a year to learn a simple offense. This is pretty similar to what he was at Michigan, and as long as he does that, there's no stopping this team from being a 7th seed. Their defense is incredibly talented. No one could argue with that. So
yeah, they're 100% in 7th seed range. Who knows? They could even light it up. And who doesn't like good football? I'd love to see McCarthy go out there and just be slinging it to Jefferson every week. So we'll see. Again, it's a good division to be watching. I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I think there's significant issues when you want to look at them as a potential Super Bowl team, like the surrounding cast would lead you to. But for playoffs, I feel very comfortable. Sure. Yeah. Is there anything else we wanted to hit on here? I mean, I feel like we agreed, and pretty understandably, on the Packers-Commanders, and we've already talked about the Packers. I think the Commanders are pretty self-explanatory. It's just that the only reason I think we don't have them higher is just that the Commanders spent the offseason securing their floor, not improving their ceiling.
Yeah.
That's true.
So, do we want to move on to Super Bowl predictions?
Dude, let's do it.
All right. Do you guys want me to go first, or someone else want to go first?
Sure. Let's hear it.
All right. I have my Kansas City Chiefs beating Tyler's Philadelphia Eagles in a revenge match in the Super Bowl. I had a hard time because I'm not typically the type of person to dictate a repeat Super Bowl and kind of go chalk like that. But I look at the NFC playoff field, and I don't think anyone else is going to get out of there. And you're not – I know I'm a Chiefs fan, and I'm biased, so that's part of it for sure. But, you're not going to catch me picking someone else from the AFC after the Chiefs have gone the last 3 years, and they've gone 5 out of the last 6 years, to the Super Bowl. I'm just not going to do that. So, I think the Chiefs securing the left tackle spot and having Rashee Rice back really makes the difference in that matchup, and so that's why I picked them over the Eagles. Tyler, do you want to go next?
Yeah. So my prediction is a little bit surprising as an Eagles fan, but I don't think we go back to back. I don't think we even make the Super Bowl. I think just because even though Sirianni has won a Super Bowl, I still have very low confidence in him. I think in a regular season, Eagles will be fine, but I think when things get going, the Super Bowl hangover is going to be present. I think we end up losing to the Niners, and I think it'll be Chiefs-Niners Super Bowl. And I don't even, like, I know we're not doing score predictions, but I don't think it's even going to be close. I think Kansas City beats them like 40-10 or something like. I think it'll be a horrible Super Bowl.
Dude, I don't know if Andy Reid has it in him to steamroll a team in the playoffs.
Even in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Niners, I think they're going to be good this year. I have them as being the 2 seed, but they are not good enough to match up against one of the top tier AFC teams.
Dude, you know Andy won all 3 of his Super Bowls at within 2 minutes of the end of the series.
I know it's a bold prediction, but I think the talent gap is that big if this is the matchup that I think this is what the final score will be.
All right. Go ahead, Austin, and then we can talk about the stuff more.
Yeah, so I'm gonna flip the script. So I'm being more interesting than you. You gave me trouble for a repeating division champion, so at least I'm not going back to that Super Bowl matchup. But I am gonna go cliche and put a number 1 seed in the NFL, and I'm going with the Ravens, as I mentioned earlier. I just think they figure it out. I just think they have one of the most prolific offenses and defenses in the NFL. I just don't know how you stop that offense. Even these really solid AFC defenses that have been built, I don't know how they prevent that, and I think they're only going to get better. Lamar's passing gets better every year, and the wide receiver core continues to improve. So I think we see the Ravens in the Super Bowl. And then completing the matchup that everyone kind of thought we were going to have last year, I have the Lions going. And so I have this Ravens-Lions matchup that really kind of looked like it was brewing last year until both teams kind of sputtered out. The Ravens just kind of couldn't, had their little playoff slump, and the Lions dealing with so many injuries and kind of crashing out to a pretty on-fire team with the Commanders last year. So I have both teams staying healthy, figuring it out, getting to the Super Bowl, and I have the Ravens winning it. I think the Lions are super stacked, but I think that the Ravens defense and the Ravens' ability to run the ball is going to be the difference.
So, okay. I get where you're coming from. I agree with your Lions. Tyler, I'm going to disagree with your 49ers take a little bit. I just don't think maybe the Super Bowl hangover is that bad, but I don't know that any team in the NFC really has the juice to take it to the Eagles outside of the Lions, in my opinion. I just don't think they have the front 7 to do it. And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, the Eagles almost lost that game against the Rams last postseason, but it just feels.
Snow.
Yeah, I don't know. It just feels wrong to me because I think you need that sort of a front 7 to take it to the Eagles, and I don't see anyone with the Lions outside of it. And the other thing I'll say with the Eagles versus 49ers is A.J. Brown better be having one hell of an off game, because the 49ers corners right now are terrible. If A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith can't go to work against them, it's going to be a pretty sad offseason to think about.
It's more of a fact is I think they could limit our run game. I mean, I guess that's been the thing about the Eagles. You do limit our run game.
I could see that with Fred Warner. Yeah, I could see it.
But it's really hard to limit both the Eagles running and passing game. I'm really just trying not to be cocky a little bit here or jinx it or anything. But on paper, of course, the Eagles should at least make it to the Super Bowl again. But
well, I think the Lions are series competition. But anyways, the thing I'll say about the Ravens, Austin, is Tyler, would you agree with me that I think the Ravens are there's the big 3 in the AFC, but I think the Ravens are notably the 3rd team out of the 3. Would you agree with that?
In playoffs, yes.
So
I think when it comes down to it, because
in history, yes. For sure. I mean,
they have a hardball team. They're really good at blowing out bad teams in the regular season. But yes, I
just think this Ravens team is so much deeper than the Bills team. I mean,
their weapons aren't good.
Dude, it doesn't matter. The offensive line is great. Zay Flowers is perfectly sufficient. They got Mark Andrews if he can stay healthy, and then Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. I just don't know how you stop that. I truly don't.
So
the Chiefs have better weapons.
So that's the second time you said it. Let me raise my hand up and say, I'll tell you exactly how you stop it, and it's you tackle really well in the secondary.
Yeah.
When Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson get to the second level of the defense, like they will because they're that talented, they're going to get there from time to time, and that's what they're really good at, is creating missed tackles in the second level of the defense. The problem is Kansas City's probably the best tackling secondary, best tackling back seven in the league, and Sean McDermott historically, now they had really, it was back and forth last season, but I believe in them to get back on track with this, is Sean McDermott has historically had a very good tackling secondary. I think that's exactly how you limit the Ravens' explosive plays, and if you limit the Ravens' explosive plays, I think they really struggle to go down after down for an entire game in a playoff setting against a well-structured defense. And so that's why I see them significantly behind the other two in the big three, is just the way it works out, those matchups. I don't like Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson running that option offense against Kansas City and Buffalo that much. Plus, Kansas City has the ability to stress out Buffalo's corners and in man coverage in a way that I don't think the Ravens do. I don't like Zay Flowers that much.
I see what you're saying. I don't have worries with the Bills stopping the Ravens run, but I do look at the Chiefs formula last year, and I mean I was shocked that the Chiefs did to the Ravens what they did. I thought the Ravens were going to steamroll their way to the Super Bowl last year. So if the Chiefs come out with a scheme like that, yeah, I don't see anyone beating the Chiefs. I definitely think it's
but the
Chiefs
Bills beat the
AFC
Ravens in the
Championship.
playoffs last year too.
Yeah, but I feel like the Bills have gotten worse. And again, maybe that's just Patriots brain, but I'm not high on the Bills this year. I'm going to come back and watch this after they either don't miss the playoffs or lose their first game, because I'm telling you, the Patriots might even sweep them, dude. I don't think the Bills are going to do that good.
Okay.
Market. We'll see.
I will say I think the Bills missed on their first round pick. I'm not sure he's going to play off the bat. But
That's what I'm saying. I don't think they're a good team.
The Bills, Josh Allen, I believe. Still going to lose to the Chiefs, but I believe Josh Allen.
Josh Allen just wishes he was Drake May. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Anything else we want to talk about there? Or do we want to hit the award predictions real quick? Kind of speed around it.
Let's blow through some award.
All right. I'll roll through this real quick. My MVP is Patrick Mahomes. My Offensive Player of the Year is Jamar Chase. He didn't win it last year. If he has another season like we think he's going to have this year, he's going to win it after 2 years. Like even if there's another big contender with 2 years stacked in a row, he's going to win it. Jalen Carter is my Defensive Player of the Year. I think he takes a jump behind and with good Fangio coverage behind him against a lot of teams. I think you're going to have some pretty nice sack numbers. You got to remember that defense didn't really come on until the back half in terms of being dominant. And so I think with a full season of that, you're going to see that. I got Omari and Hampton winning Offensive Rookie of the Year. I think the number of times they're going to give him the ball, it's going to make a very compelling case. Obviously, I agree Cam Ward should be the favorite, but I kind of like Omari and Hampton, so I wanted to give him a shout out there. I think Abdul Carter is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Everything I've seen out of the Giants camp is that, like, very positive. He's been destroying in like joint practices, and he's got a good defense. Like he's got a lot of defensive linemen to take the attention off of him. So I think the opportunities to get sacks there, which is what wins Defensive Rookie of the Year half the time, is there. And then I think I'm going to continue loving on Liam Cohen. I think he's going to win Coach of the Year. I think I have to predict that with the Jaguars getting a playoff berth as the division winner, and then comeback Player of the Year. I think is the easiest prediction period across the board with Aiden Hutchinson. If it's not him, I'd be pretty shocked. Go for
cool.
it. Run through it.
We got a bunch of similarities. Again, predicting this prolific Bengals team. I got Joe Burrow winning the MVP, kind of for the same reason you mentioned Jamar Chase winning Offensive Player of the Year. Right along with that, I got Jamar Chase also winning Offensive Player of the Year. Defensive Player of the Year, I got Christian Gonzalez, dude. I think playing across from Carlton Davis, I think the Patriots defense is going to be incredible this year. I think it's going to be a Stephon Gilmore type cornerback Defensive Player of the Year out of Christian Gonzalez. He's been amazing. He's only going to get better. Might even have 0 catches. Dude, that's what I'm
all right.
I'm going along with your predictions and kind of what you were talking about with Offensive Rookie of the Year being Cam Ward. I think he will have some success there in Tennessee, and I don't really see anyone else really contending with him except Omari and Hampton. I'm really excited.
The quarterback advantage is pretty big for Ward.
Exactly. That's the thing. It's like as long as he just plays well, he's going to win it. And then I'm going with Abdul Carter on defense as well. He's absolutely tearing it up. He's going to be a monster. It's just a shame he's playing in New York. Coach of the Year, we got to go Mike Vrabel. I think he just significantly improves the team. Kind of like what you were saying with Liam Cohen. I think he takes the Patriots to the playoffs. I think he wins the division. No, if he wins the division, he's 100% winning Coach of the Year. But I just think the improvement that he's going to bring to the team, I think it's going to be pretty clear and obvious. So I'm going Mike Vrabel. And then comeback player of the year, it's got to be Aiden Hutchinson. I think he's going to be very healthy. I think he's going to tear it up. I don't really see anyone else contending. Maybe Dak Prescott, but only if he like actually plays well, and it's Dak Prescott. So
Yeah, well, the Cowboys are going to suck this year. So.
the Cowboys are going to be bad, dude.
Offensive numbers could be good though.
That's true.
Dak.
All right.
They got CeeDee Lamb.
So yeah, I have MVP being Joe Burrow. I don't think any MVP has ever been a 6 seed before where I had them, but I think he's gonna probably break the passing yard. I think very high chance he breaks the passing yard record, which is just. And he does have enough media presence where I don't think he even needs to make the playoffs to win MVP with him. So that's why I have him. And of course, I have to have offensive player of the year being Jamar Chase, if that's also the case. For defensive player of the year, I'm gonna give it to my guy Jalen Carter. I think what he does there is pretty special on the defensive end, and he does have the national attention right now, being on the Eagles. And yeah, I think he hasn't put up the counting stats yet. I think the floodgates are about to open there. Offensive rookie of the year, pretty standard. Cam Ward being like the only clear-cut starter QB from this draft class year one is just
big advantage.
Big advantage, and he does. And I think I do like him a lot as a player. I think he's gonna look all right, and I think that's all he really needs to do to win the award. Unless someone else has like a historic season, but even then, we've seen a good rookie QB season versus a historic receiver or running back season, and usually the QB wins. So defensive rookie of the year, once again, Abdul Carter. The camp reports are ridiculous. Obviously, he was one of the most talented players in the draft, even though I do think there's a chance Travis Hunter could sneak in just because of his media presence.
I just don't get the impression he's going to play that many snaps on defense.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be more wide receiver?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He wants to play. He's already mentioned it before.
I think he's going to be a package player on defense.
But they might. I don't know. It's enticing if he could win both. That would be an absolutely incredible thing to watch.
Well, if he has good stats on both sides of the ball, Cam Ward can move out the way because the media's going to be very happy to do that.
If it's within reach, he's getting the double crown there, dude. For sure.
And Coach of the Year, I have Matt LaFleur. Based on my Packers prediction. Like, if the Packers really do
if they do that,
division,
I think Yeah.
The only thing is they usually don't give Coach of the Year to guys like LaFleur who are well-respected coaches. It's usually guys who haven't been that good, but I think if he does that with this current team, I think he deserves it.
Yeah, I think Andy Reid's average season over his Chiefs tenure is a better record than the Coach of the Year record in the past over that time.
Betting odds, I think actually the lowest coach to win Coach of the Year right now, I'm pretty sure is Nick Sirianni. Because he quite literally can't win it unless Eagles go undefeated. And even then,
right, yeah,
he probably still might not even win it. Like,
that's funny.
But
that's actually really funny.
That's just what it is. Or well-respected coaches don't win it that much. But comeback player of the year, easy Hutch. I mean, he could even win defensive player of the year. Like,
yeah.
So
nice.
I got to take it to your guys' Burrow predictions, okay? And I'll explain my Mahomes prediction, all right? But the teams it used to be if you didn't get a bye, you don't get an MVP thought. Like, the voters do not care about you. Now that there's one bye, I think it's expanded to the top 3 teams are kind of like in each conference are in contention for having their team have the MVP on them. And I think the way the voters voted last year showed you that. I mean, it was Lamar or Allen, period, even though Burrow had very competitive stats. He didn't get a real thought. And so, yeah, I don't think it's realistic to go ahead and say that Burrow's going to win that award if we really think they're not going to win the division. So that's my case there. The thing I'll say for Mahomes is I think the deep ball is going to be back. So I think if the deep ball's back and he has comparable numbers to Allen and Jackson, then they're going to go with Mahomes because you've got that new narrative with the deep ball back. It's less about me thinking Mahomes is going to run away production-wise because that's just not how the Chiefs operate in the regular season. But if the deep ball is back and you've got that aesthetic paired with the the numbers to compete for the MVP award, I think the case is pretty easy to see there compared to, you're going to have fatigue with Allen. They're not going to want to give him, there's always limitations to wanting to go with 2 in a row. And then like I said, I don't think Jackson has that good of a year this year against that slate of opponents. So, and then in the NFC, when I look at it, I think Hurts has a hard time winning it because of Saquon. I think Goff's just has a hard time winning it, and I don't think Purdy's going to put up the stats with the Niners this year, even though I think the Niners are still going to be good. So
Goff's not even top 10 in betting odds.
Yeah, he doesn't have a PR to go win it. It would have to have groundbreaking numbers, which is possible, but
Kyler Murray,
Tyler,
give
us the top 5, Tyler.
So the top 4 are actually all pretty much tied, and that's the 4 you would expect. Lamar is actually the favorite by a little bit, then Burrow, then Allen, then Mahomes, but they're all pretty much the same value.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And
who rounds out 5?
Jaden Daniels. He's like in a tier of his own.
Mm-hmm.
And then Hurts and Herbert are kind of in the same tier.
Yeah.
I once again, I have a hard time believing Hurts is going to win it just because the counting stats won't be there because of Saquon.
Right. Exactly. Hey, but he might have like 100 1-yard touchdowns.
In order for the Chargers to really be an amazing team, they're going to have to do it through running the ball, I think. And I just don't. That's why I don't really see Hurts or Herbert.
Yeah. Well, and even if Herbert has comparable stats to the other guys, everybody's right or wrong. Everybody's going to scream Saquon.
Yeah.
And it's just going to take attention away from Hurts. And so I really struggle to see him winning that award, especially with all the discourse that the media has been heaping all this praise on, rightfully so, on the Eagles roster, for its quality. I just think he's going to have a hard time winning MVP after that. I think it's such a narrative-driven award, which is kind of why I went with Mahomes, because Mahomes has the advantages of, he is viewed as the Chiefs. He is the Chiefs, right? And if you give him the extra narrative of the deep ball being back and being in the media because of it, that's why I see that. But
yeah,
I just think
that's a good point.
Hurts could make it, or he could have a chance, and this is the reason why Vegas is giving him a chance. If Saquon gets injured and the Eagles' offense still looks elite,
absolutely.
Then
if you have
Hurts
to throw the
is
ball a
back in the
ton
top.
and there's no Saquon,
because it still has great weapons, great protection. It's that I think that's the only avenue. But as long as Saquon's healthy, there's next to no chance.
Yeah, I agree. And the path for Burrow is just being that Bengals team that we kind of said could happen, of just being so good that they win a bunch of games and everyone just every week talking about, Burrow and Chase, Burrow and Chase, Burrow and Chase, Burrow and Higgins, Burrow and Chase. That's what I think Burrow wins it. But you drive a ton of good points with Mahomes. It's been enough years since he's won it that there's no fatigue. If the deep ball comes back and Mahomes carries the Chiefs to another 14, 15, 16 win season, I mean, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's only been 2 years since he won it, but despite that, everybody's kind of been like, who's Mahomes still the top quarterback?
Exactly.
95 in Madden.
The way the narratives are gonna go, it's just it works so well in his favor this year, which is why I picked him. I don't know. Did we have any? I think we were pretty well aligned on the other stuff. I don't like picking corners to win Defensive Player of the Year, but it happens. I could see it. I love Christian Gonzalez, but
dude, I don't know if you guys saw those new Patriots rivalry jerseys that just came out.
Dude,
I'm
those
getting
are
the
sick.
Gonzo jersey in my closet. Dude. Those jerseys, those might be the best jerseys I've ever seen in my life. They're pretty.
They're pretty sick. I really love the Cardinals, and someone else did the shoulder patch emblems.
It's probably the Bills with the shiny one.
I think they did. Those need to be on every rivalry uniform. Those are sick.
Yeah, those are cool.
All right. Anything else we want to hit before we get out of here?
Dude, I think that's it. Pretty much covered it all. It's gonna be a really good season. There's a ton of good narratives to watch. Bunch of good division dynamics going on. New players, returning players. So, dude, football is almost back. I can't wait.
I can taste it. I can't wait. All right, Tyler. Any last thoughts?
It's just this is the best time of year when you have the whole season in front of you.
Yeah.
Every single week. Absolute perfection.
All right.
It's here, boys.
I'm excited. We'll got to be coming back with more football topics, and I can't wait to actually be able to talk about real games and real things that happen and talk about what the players did once those start rolling in. So we'll figure that out. Until then, see you later.